This plumber wanted $12,000 for a water heater to replace my water heater. This is a perfect example of pricing and demand and why you need to price your domain names correctly. First of all, Chris with Media Options help companies acquire the raw version of their brand, broken some of the best domain names on the planet. Check that out over at MediaOptions.com. We have domains like born.com, DNA.com, linen.com, a lot of amazing, human.com, a lot of amazing domain names. Also help companies to acquire the domain names, so reach out to me if I can help you. I just went through a crazy experience. My water heater went out last Thursday, so we've been without hot water for a couple days now. It's going to go on probably 6 days, getting it replaced tomorrow, so almost a week. And it went out Thursday night. We called different plumbers on Friday morning because everyone's closed, and we had a couple plumbers come over and give us quotes. Now, the first plumber that came over, he looked at it and said, "Well, it's going to cost a lot of money." Now, this is one of these plumbing groups owned by private equity venture capital. So, I mean, they just had an amazing, flawless system down. He came in. They were trying to push us towards a tankless water heater, but we wanted a tank water heater. We may go tankless, but it requires a little bit more work in our house. So, anyways, the quote he gave me for the tank was $12,000. Now, I looked at him. I'm like, yo, the tank cost maybe $1,200, okay? High side, maybe $2,000. How do you get to $12,000? He's like, oh, well, we use a super premium tank, and the tanks that we get from our suppliers, listen, they're different, Chris, than the tanks you get at Lowe's. And I'm thinking, I don't know. Maybe they're different. Maybe they could be better, but okay, let's double it to 4,000. How do you get $8,000? I have changed these in my properties before. I just did this at my cabin. So I know it's not that difficult. How do you get $8,000 worth of work? And he's like, that is what it is. So I'm thinking I can buy a car or I can get a water heater. So we called a couple more plumbers up. Next plumber came out and he quoted us $5,800. And now I see the 12,000. I'm like, hey, 5,800 is pretty good. That's much better than the 12,000. And so they kind of saw a couple more things that were wrong with our system and said, hey, we can come in and do this. Called the other person up. They came in at $5,400 or $5,200. Okay, so even better. Then the last guy we called, he came in at $3,800. Okay, $3,800. Now, a couple things from this. Okay, it's pricing. Okay, I imagine the first company that came in, they just were probably swamped with work, and they're like, hey, just throw out $12,000. See if they do it. If they do it, we'll make time because that's going to be highly profitable for us. But what they didn't realize is that they were selling in a market with other plumbers, and other plumbers, there's options, right? So, I mean, they might have just relied on the fact that, hey, this person is in need, they need hot water, they're probably freaking out. And so, just give them this number. Now, they did give me a number of $7,800 for a tankless water heater, but, and it almost went with that. So they were trying to push us down to that one. But there's options, right? There are options. They're playing this fact that you just really wanted it. They were nice guys. They had the system down, and that people would just buy it. But there's options for them. And the same with the other ones, right? So, I mean, the 5,800 to the 3,800, I probably could have been sold on going a little bit higher if they really would have explained the difference in the quality of the hot water heater. But in the end, we went up to $3,800, okay? Because it's a water heater. I could literally buy 4 of them for the price of that one. And I think that's the distinction a lot of people make, okay? There's some systems, okay? If it's a super premium and this thing is if the water heater was industrial grade and this thing's gonna last 30 years, right? I may have jumped up to the 12,000, okay? If there was really a big difference. And I see this happening with people who come to us to price a domain name. They want 15 million, 20 million, 10 million, 5 million, 2 million, 1 million, 500,000. It doesn't matter, but what matters is the quality of the domain name, where it falls, the type of buyer it attracts. And I tell them, listen, there's options. These people have options, especially if there's not many brands out there that call themselves this domain name. You can price it every one. You could price it at the 12,000. And somebody may stumble along. I'm sure they probably get 1 or 2 people that stumble along and pay $12,000, okay, that are just in the scarcity of this need. And they're just okay, get it done. Let's go. Let's do it. It happens, okay? I'm sure it happens because otherwise they wouldn't quote me at $12,000. But you're like, there's options that are out there. And when you price your domain in a different galaxy compared to the value, remember my theory and my thesis on value, raw equity, brand equity, perceived equity. I line it out. I've done videos, like countless videos. You can go to my YouTube channel. You can see these videos. I've done podcasts on it. I've done posts on it. Right? I lay out my frames on X. You can see all my frames and how I view domain names and why I believe your domain is the most important, is the biggest risk and opportunity for your brand to scale. Okay, so I lay that out. But at the same point, in this instance, okay, if you price it in a different galaxy, it's not going to sell. Now, we actually don't take domains on when the owner insists on pricing it in a different galaxy because I'm like, it's not worth my time. Okay, I'm going to put my time and energy into this. I don't get paid unless I sell this, and yet this is priced like at this unrealistic level. In this case, how many homes would this company have to go to get one sale at $12,000? I mean, I can't see lightning striking too often in that scenario. Okay. So you got to price it correctly. If you don't price your product, your domain name correctly, it's just not going to sell. It's not going to sell, and they're actually going to be repelled. Now, if you would have come in at maybe $6,000, maybe I would have just said, yo, let's do it. Let's go right now. But it was so extreme that I said, hey, I got to see what else is out there. Anyways, nothing about high prices. We have domain names, and I've had offers on domain names in the solid 8 figures, 20 million, higher, in the low 8 figures, the 7 figures. But it has to be comparable to the value of that domain in the marketplace and the conversion ROI. When you get in the 7 figures, it's about strategy. It's not about vanity. Okay, it's strategy. How do you strategize? Anyways, reach out to me if I can help you acquire a domain name. And if you have any insights on water heaters, leave a comment below.